Scorpio.
Robert, it's Celia.
Where are you? You all right?
Yes, I'm a little shaken up, but I'm all right. You heard what happened?
The sheriff just called me from Grant's cabin.
Oh, Robert, it was terrible.
I'm sure. Is Grant Putnam with you?
Yes, he brought me home.
Listen, the sheriff wants him to go back to the cabin. He's got a few questions he'd like to ask him.
I'll tell him, but I really think that you should be talking to my husband about this.
Was he there?
That's what I'd like to find out.
Where's he now?
Here.
Okay, I'll be right over.
Oh, could you bring Holly, too? I need her.
That was Celia. She wants us to go over to her place.
Is she all right?
She's a bit hysterical, I think.
I can imagine. She could have been killed. Who would do something like that?
Sounds to me as if she thinks Grant did it.
Andrews?
Yeah, she wants me to have a talk to him, find out where he was at the time of the explosion.
I can't believe he would do it.
Right about now, I think I could believe almost anything.
But do you think it's possible that Grant...
Well, let's look at his erratic behavior in the last week, the fact that he blew up at us. No pun intended.
I've got a funny feeling about this, Robert.
Me too, but let's deal with the facts first. There'll be plenty of time later on to deal with the hunches.
All right. I'm fine. Come on in.
Grant?
Robert? Robert, I believe you know Tanya Roscoff. Tanya Robert Scorpio.
The sheriff tells me he feels somebody planted a time bomb in the boat.
And you think it was me?
I don't know what to think just yet.
But you are here to question me. Thanks to my trusting wife, I'm the prime suspect, right?
Look, I haven't been up to the accident site. I have no clues and no suspects.
But you are here to question me.
It appears that somebody tried to kill Celia and Grant, and it's my job to investigate.
Starting with me.
You have the right to remain silent. Do you want a lawyer?
Don't be ridiculous. I have nothing to hide.
Ask him where he was this afternoon.
I was at the festival this morning.
Anyone see you?
Well, I did.
I got a note from a teacher of mine in the motherland. A man named Porchenko.
Yeah, I recall the name. Oh, what was in the note?
It sounded as if he was trying to defect and he wanted my help.
Where'd you get the note?
The janitor.
Mr. Higgins is his name.
Okay, go on.
The note said that Porchenko was in Port Charles. He asked me to meet him down on the waterfront in an alley between 6th and Wharf. I went down there. Somebody must have knocked me out. I awakened hours later.
Anything stolen?
No. I checked immediately. My wallet, my watch were still there.
What time did you come to, you remember?
About 2:30.
The bomb went off at 2.
Nobody saw you leave or enter the alley.
No.
What about the note?
It was gone when I awakened.
Why didn't you call the police?
Because I was dizzy and I was weak. All I wanted to do was get home. I managed to get here on my own, and I must have passed out the minute I walked in the door.
I came looking for him, and it was about 5 o'clock.
So you can't really account for your whereabouts between 11 and, 10:30 and 5?
No. Look, Robert, I know my story sounds flimsy, but I've got proof of what I'm saying. I've got a lump on the back of my head.
Well, that might not be much, but at least it's something.
I didn't plant any bomb. Celia, for God's sakes, you can't really... Do you really believe that I would try to kill you? You don't believe me, do you?
Actually, your story is so far-fetched, it might just be true.
It is true.
Sounds a little flimsy to me. You used to do a lot better than that, Grant.
You're not helping matters, Celia. But then it doesn't appear as if you want to. Now what happens, Robert? Are you going to arrest me because I can't prove where I was today?
Well, the investigation's only just begun.
What are you going to do?
Well, I'll go up to the cabin tomorrow and have a look around.
That's it?
One thing at a time, Celia.
May I go now?
Yes, of course, but I'd like to take your statement later concerning Grant's whereabouts earlier in the day.
All right. Goodbye, Grant.
Thank you, Tanya.
Grant, if I were you, I'd get over to the hospital and have that head of yours checked.
There's nothing wrong with my head right now.
I think a doctor should verify that.
I am a doctor. I feel fine.
Let me put it this way. As a doctor, you'd certainly be remiss if you didn't examine somebody who claims to have been knocked out and was unconscious for as many hours as you were.
What do you mean, claims? I'm telling you, I was unconscious for 4 hours.
Nothing intended. See a doctor. I think we'll both feel better.
Oh, is it all right if I spend the night at your house tonight?
Oh, of course it is.
I'll pack a few things. I'll be right back.
What happened today?
I was at Grant Putnam's cabin. Needed to get away. We were going to go out in the boat, but luckily at the last minute, we got out.
Why? Did something happen?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now. I'll tell you later.
Listen to me, Robert,
Yes?
before you go. I know that I have been behaving very strangely of late. I know that I've said things I shouldn't have said. But you have to understand, I've been driven half out of my mind by Grant Putnam.
Has that?
His manipulations, his tricks, he's trying to get me.
Any proof?
No! But you've got to believe me. I'm telling you the truth. I swear it about everything. Robert, I would never harm Celia. You have to believe that.
Grant, look, I have to remain objective. This investigation's only just beginning, but if you're telling the truth, you've got nothing to worry about.
The way things have been going lately, I have everything to worry about.
Follow through on that visit to the hospital.
I thought I heard you. Oh, I'm sorry, Ollie, if I woke you.
Oh, it's okay. You couldn't sleep, huh? I thought maybe some more milk would help. Well, considering it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're still awake, I'd say it didn't.
I'm not sure anything will.
Do you really think he tried to kill you? I mean, he's your husband.
What does that have to do with anything?
I just don't believe he would do that.
Why not, Ollie? He had the motive. In fact, he had two.
What?
First of all, he was sure that Grant and I were lovers.
You still believe that?
Fervently. In fact, whenever he heard Grant's name, he went crazy.
But he had other reasons to dislike him.
And none of them made any sense.
Why didn't he just ask for a divorce?
Ollie, the man's not in his right mind. You saw how he blew up at you and Robert last week. How do you think a man like that would react to his wife's transgressions?
Murder? You said that there were two motives. What was the other one?
Grant's will. If Grant Putnam and I were dead, then Grant would get all his money.
But he was the one who didn't want to be in it.
Well, maybe that was a ruse.
This is all just speculation.
No, I have proof.
What?
I overheard him telling Tanya that if only he had the money, that he...
If when you had the money, what?
Well, he hated poor Charles, that he wanted to leave. Leave with Tanya.
Come in. I'm so glad to see you all.
Sorry we kept you waiting.
No problem. In fact, I just put on some fresh coffee. Shall I bring it out?
I think we'll pass on the coffee. I'd like to get right down to business.
Of course, I'm sure that we all would. I'm sorry. Whoever it is, I'll let them know that we're busy.
Good.
Sheriff, I wasn't expecting you. Mr. Putnam?
I'm glad you're here, Commissioner. I've got a piece of evidence in my car for you to check out.
Deal.
Oh, yeah, solid evidence. And as far as I'm concerned, it's mounting up.
Once you bring it in, I'll have a look at it.
All right. plaster cast of a shoe print found just outside.
It's like a tread from a work shoe.
Yes, it is. My man down at the lab checked that out. He said it's a heavy-duty tread size 10, the kind construction workers wear.
Kind that Grant wears?
Grant has shoes like that.
Sure he does. I'm sure a lot of people in the construction business do.
Well, some men buy them just for working in their backyards.
Right again. We can't say that it's Grant's until we have a proper print match.
Shall I get that?
Why not, mate? It's your cabin.
Right you are.
Hi, sorry we're late.
Late?
Yeah.
I suggested the Nielsen's drop in, Mr. Putnam.
Yeah,
Thought you'd want to talk to them since they were the first ones on the scene right after the explosion.
good idea. And,
They were also here with Mr. Putnam and Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. You might have a question about that, too.
yeah, I might. At this point, any information I can get will be a help in clearing this whole matter up.
Well, I'm certain that we can be of help to you. Celia here is a very good friend of ours, and we would hate for something to happen to her because of some foreigner.
Hey.
You know, Chuck, don't give me that look. Now, I have plenty to say, and I think the police commissioner ought to know what Celia has been through. Poor thing, look at her. I know just how it was, hon. And I can tell you right now, Mr. Scorpio, that you don't know the half of it.
And Mrs. Nielsen, I'm very eager to learn. But before I talk to you, I have a few questions for Grant here.
For me?
That is, if you don't mind.
No, of course not. And I ran outside and I called for Celia.
Then what happened?
She was running up the path towards me, and that's when the boat exploded.
Yeah, and Chuck and I heard that. So, of course, we went running down to the dock because we were just...
All right, now, when you got to the scene, what did you find?
Well, the boat was a wreck, of course. Celia and Grant were in a state of shock. Really shook up.
Shook up. Celia was hysterical, weren't you, honey?
Celia?
Oh, it was upsetting.
Well, naturally.
All right, please go on.
Okay, well, all right, I've already said this to the sheriff, so there's no harm in telling you this now. When I tried to calm Celia down, her first question was about her husband.
Do you recall that?
I don't know, Robert. I don't know. When I try to remember what happened, I just get confused.
Robert, I think it'd be a good idea if Celia and I excused ourselves, all right?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Poor thing. I don't blame her for being upset. If I were in her shoes, I would be terrified.
Why do you say that?
Because, Mr. Scorpio, her husband is a very violent man.
Now, Peggy.
Chuck, now we both heard him threaten to kill her.
Is that true?
Technically, yes. He did say something like that, but they're having an argument. He certainly didn't mean it literally.
Chuck, we both heard him.
Peggy, people say things often that they don't mean. You've even told me you could kill me when we were having a fight, but you didn't mean it.
I am not a DVX agent, so it's not the same thing, now is it?
You've had experience in the past with DVX agents, Mrs. Nielsen?
No, of course not. Why would you ask me something like that?
Just a question. Well, look, thank you very much for your help, both of you, and if I require anything else, I'll contact you later.
Well, look, we'd be happy to stay and help if there's anything that we can do.
I'm sure that the commissioner appreciates that, Peggy, but everything seems to be pretty much under control. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, we're making progress. Thank you again.
Anytime.
And listen, if you need us, if you need us, just call.
I will.
Because we'd be happy to help.
Look, if you could spare me a moment outside, I'd like to go over my notes with you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Bert, Scorpio. All right, some pieces are starting to fall into place around here.
Oh? Any hard evidence?
Yeah, the sheriff has been pretty helpful. But his findings have got to be checked out.
Any candidates for a suspect?
Well, so far it's all circumstantial. But what I have seems to point to Grant Andrews.
Oh, I'd have to bet on that.
You'd probably win the bet. As of right now, Mr. Andrews is our #1 suspect. Look, I've got a plaster cast of some footprints found at the scene.
I appreciate you taking time from such a busy schedule.
Robert, Celia's feeling a little better now. Can we take her home soon, please?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. But, Celia, look, if you're feeling up to it, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right. Why don't you just sit down and, try and relax?
I'll try to make this brief. When the Nielsens were here earlier, they said that they overheard you and Grant having an argument.
They may have.
May have.
Well, we argued so much lately, I lose track.
Peggy stated that she heard Grant threaten to kill you. Do you think he was serious?
No, I didn't think so at the time.
Why not?
Because it was just a stupid little argument about some initials.
What initials?
Grant's and mine. They were carved into a bench.
Celia and I carved them when we were children.
Still don't remember doing that.
You're trying to tell me that your husband threatened you after seeing some initials?
Well, we fought about such little things. The nightgown and the perfume.
What nightgown?
Grant found a nightgown of mine, or he thought it was mine in the cabin. It wasn't mine. And neither was the perfume, although it was my usual kind.
Tell me, when you fought about these little things, did he threaten you?
I told you, I didn't take it seriously.
Celia, thinking back now, would you have to admit that of late Grant was losing control? Celia? Okay. We're just about through now. Let's move on to something else, eh?
What else?
You heard Peggy say that after the explosion, the first person you asked after was Grant.
I don't remember.
Of course not. You were in shock.
Well, let's just suppose that you did ask after Grant. What would prompt you to do that?
I don't know.
Is it because maybe that you suspected he could have had something to do with the explosion?
I don't remember. I don't want to believe that.
Please, Celia. Now, look. Try to think about this. Why was he the first person you asked about?
I'm just not sure.
Celia, it's important. Think about it, will you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Robert, she's very tired. Can't we finish this questioning later on at home?
Yeah.
I'd better stay here and close up things. Why don't you three head on back to Port Charles, and I'll see you back there later if you need anything.
Good idea. Let's go, shall we?
Robert?
Yeah.
It doesn't look very good for Grant, does it?
Celia, look. I don't know anything yet. Why don't you go out to the car with Holly?
Come on, let's go.
I should be there shortly after you arrive, Commissioner.
Good.
Well, I just want to see that she was all right.
Well, he had an awfully tough day. I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, I know.
Why don't we go get some tea or coffee?
Good idea, love. Why don't you whip into the kitchen there and get a tray and...
No, just the two of us in the kitchen.
Yeah, good idea.
Did that help?
I think it did. I just feel so sleepy.
Yeah, well, that's Holly's magic formula, you know, sort of one sip, and out you go.
I know I'm not being a very entertaining guest, but I suddenly feel so exhausted.
Oh, Celia, nobody expects you to be entertaining.
Would you mind if I go up to bed now?
Well, I think after the day you've had, that'd be a good idea.
If you want me for anything,
Oh, nobody's going to want you for anything. The bed's all turned down. You just go right out and get into it, okay? And that's an order.
thank you. Thank you both for everything.
Good night, love.
Night.
Poor thing. Though under the circumstances, I think she's doing very well.
I wonder who this is.
Hiya, boss. I just stopped in for a minute. There's something I thought you should know.
Sure, mate, come in.
Oh, hi, Holly. Yeah,
Hi.
just for a second. I got the report on those prints on that chunk of wood.
The piece that was found in the alley where Grant claims he was knocked out?
Yeah, and the only prints on it belong to Grant.
You sure?
Yeah. Had the lab double-check it.
Anything else?
Well, that's it. I'm sorry to break in on you two lovebirds, but I thought you'd want to hear.
No, thanks, mate. Listen, would you like a drink?
Oh, no, thanks. The stomach isn't what it should be, and I'm late for a civic meeting. I'll see you all. Night.
Night.
So long.
What do you think?
I'm not sure what to think. One thing seems to be coming clear, though. Grant Andrews' story is looking rather fishy.
He couldn't have knocked himself unconscious, though. Or could he?
I doubt it. Can only give himself a very minor bruise.
Like the one he has.
Right.
With what you've got, do you really think it's possible that Grant could have caused that explosion?
Anything's possible. But what I want to find out is what's the truth.